She stared at me, her expression unreadable, and asked, "Why do men think they own women?" That question came moments after I calmly told her I didn't feel comfortable with her going on a weekend trip with her ex. I didn't argue. I didn't yell. I just closed the conversation and quietly changed my relationship status to single that same night. I'm Darren, 29, and for the past few months, I've been wading through the wreckage of what was supposed to be my forever. Not long ago, I was engaged. We lived together, shared bills, had weekend routines, and made plans that stretched years into the future. 4 years of love, laughter, and everything in between. 6 months into the engagement, I thought we were building something that would last a lifetime. Now I sit alone in a new apartment, sipping stale coffee while unread messages from her blink across my phone screen, each one from someone I no longer recognize. The perfectly curated version of her online is crumbling, and oddly enough, my grief feels more like relief. Her name was Leia. She was beautiful in a way that made strangers do double takes, driven in her career, sharp-witted, and charismatic enough to light up a room. We weren't perfect, what couple is, but I genuinely thought our bond was solid. She was there for me when life hit rough patches, and I never hesitated to return the favor. I thought we understood each other. I was wrong. Everything shifted the moment Adrian returned. Adrian was her ex from college. They'd been together for 3 years, and though their relationship had ended, it left behind echoes. Early on, I noticed a subtle shift in her mood whenever his name came up, a flicker in her expression, a pause just long enough to make me wonder. But I dismissed it. Everyone has a history, and I respected that. I never questioned her, until he came back to town. He landed a job at some tech company nearby, and from then on, he was everywhere. Group hangouts, weekend barbecues, even game nights. Always with a casual, "Oh, Adrian will be there, hope that's cool." It wasn't, but I swallowed it. I didn't want to be the insecure guy. I trusted her. I gave her space. That was my first mistake. Soon, the shifts in her behavior became impossible to ignore. Out of nowhere, she was waking up at 4:30 a.m. for CrossFit classes, buying expensive athletic gear every week, and flooding her Instagram with gym selfies and motivational quotes. This was the same woman who used to call walking the dog her cardio. Now it was all about discipline, grind, and hustle. It didn't feel like growth. It felt like a performance. Her phone, once left in plain sight, became permanently glued to her side, always face down, notifications off, and handled with the caution of a high-level security file. If I walked behind her while she was texting, she would tilt the screen away, subtly but deliberately. I didn't want to be suspicious, but the signs were multiplying. Then came the night it all fell apart. We were having dinner, and she casually mentioned that Adrian had invited her to a retreat at Lake Tahoe. Just the two of them. She laughed it off and called it a networking opportunity. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I asked what kind of networking happens alone with your ex by a lakeside cabin. Her response, "Why are you being weird about this?" She insisted they were just friends, that I was reading too much into it. But then, mid-sentence, she slipped. She admitted she hadn't told me earlier because she knew how I'd react. That wasn't just a red flag, it was a flare gun to the sky. I kept my voice calm, maybe too calm. I told her it wasn't appropriate. That there are some boundaries you just don't cross in a committed relationship. Her response, she rolled her eyes like I was some uptight father figure trying to control her freedom. She stared at me, calm but defiant, and asked, "Why do men always think they own women?" The words hit harder than she probably expected. They came right after I asked her not to go away for the weekend, with her ex. I didn't argue. I didn't protest or give some long-winded speech. I just quietly changed my relationship status to single and closed the chapter. My name is Darren, I'm 29, and for the last 4 months, I've been picking up the emotional pieces left behind by the woman I once believed would be my wife. Not long ago, I was engaged. We shared a home, bills, late-night takeout, and dreams of a future with kids and chaos and quiet Sunday mornings. We had been together for 4 years, and engaged for 6 months. Everything pointed toward a forever kind of love. Now, I sit in a small, unfamiliar apartment, coffee cooling in my hand, watching her name light up on my phone, again and again. I don't open the messages anymore. Her carefully curated online life is beginning to unravel in front of everyone, and instead of heartbreak, I feel something closer to clarity. Freedom, even. Her name was Leia. She was the kind of woman who drew people in, smart, gorgeous, magnetic in a room full of strangers. She had this laugh that made you forget your stress for a moment. We weren't perfect, but we were solid. Or so I thought. We supported each other through layoffs, grief, family tension. We were aligned. Until Adrian showed up. Adrian was her ex from college. 3 years of shared history, which I never pried into. Everyone has a past. Early in our relationship, her face would shift ever so slightly when his name came up. A look I couldn't read. I let it go, trusted her, respected the fact that her life didn't start when I entered it. But then, a few months ago, Adrian moved back to town for a new tech job, and suddenly, he was everywhere. He started showing up at group dinners, weekend hangouts, game nights, always casually included, like it was no big deal. Adrian will be there too, hope that's cool, she'd say, as if I should have no issue with it. And I didn't say anything. I swallowed it, convincing myself not to be that guy. I didn't want to be possessive. I wanted to be secure. That was my mistake. Then the changes began. Leia, who hadn't touched a dumbbell in 2 years, suddenly became a fitness fanatic. Waking up before dawn for CrossFit, spending hundreds on gym gear, turning her social media into a highlight reel of squats, protein shakes, and motivational captions. It didn't feel like a journey of self-improvement, it felt like a performance for someone else. Her phone, once left around the house without a second thought, now lived face down in her lap or clutched in her hand. Silent, locked, guarded. If I walked behind her while she was texting, she'd shift her screen just enough to hide it. The transparency we once had evaporated. But the breaking point came on a Thursday night at dinner. She mentioned, offhandedly, that Adrian had invited her to a retreat at Lake Tahoe. Just the two of them. She called it a networking opportunity, as if that made it less absurd. I stared at her, waiting for the punchline. When I asked how she didn't see how inappropriate that was, her expression turned icy. "We're just friends," she snapped. "You're making it weird." And then, without realizing it, she admitted that she hadn't told me earlier because she knew I'd react like this. That wasn't a red flag, it was a blaring alarm. I stayed calm, maybe too calm, and told her directly that going away alone with an ex was crossing a line no healthy relationship should tolerate. She rolled her eyes, like I was some uptight father figure trying to control her life. "Fine," she said sharply. "I won't go," but her tone said she was anything but fine. The rest of the night she stormed around the apartment, slamming cabinets, pacing the hallway, giving me the coldest shoulder I'd ever felt. I woke up early the next morning to an empty bed. Her gym bag was gone. So was a small suitcase she'd claimed was already unpacked. And then I saw it. An Instagram post. Her at the airport, wearing oversized sunglasses and holding a to-go coffee. The caption read, "Why do men always think they own you? Living my best life." Her friends flooded the comments with fire emojis, crown emojis, and every variation of, "Yas queen" imaginable. I didn't text. I didn't comment. I didn't respond. I sat with it, letting the truth sink in. This wasn't a mistake. It wasn't some emotional misstep. It was intentional. That morning, I logged into Facebook and changed my relationship status to single. Then I turned off my phone, laced up my running shoes, and went for a jog, not just to clear my head, but to begin mentally separating from the life I thought I was building. When I finally turned my phone back on, the notifications flooded in, over 30 missed calls and hundreds of messages. She was panicking, demanding answers. "Why did you change our status? You can't be serious. Fix this now. You're being heartless." She even tried to guilt me by saying her friend Mia was having a meltdown because of my post. That I was blowing everything out of proportion over a harmless trip. But it wasn't about the trip. It was about respect. It was about honesty. It was about trust. And somewhere along the line, she had decided all three were optional. I didn't make that choice for her. She did. I turned my phone off again and spent the rest of the weekend boxing up her things. Every folded sweatshirt, every pair of heels, little remnants of what we used to be, went into neat, silent containers. I scrubbed the apartment down to bare walls, like I was cleansing more than just dust. I wasn't angry. I was done, fully and finally. That Sunday night, I did something I hadn't done in years. I messaged Casey. She was the sharp-tongued, hilarious woman from my gym, the kind who made cardio worth showing up for. We'd always shared that flirty edge in passing. Once, jokingly, she told me, "If your situation ever changes, hit me up." So I did. "Hey," I typed. Random question. "You free this week?" "Sushi." Her reply came in under a minute. "Wait, are you serious? How's Tuesday?" While Leia was still online trying to fix the social firestorm her little rebellion sparked, I was locking in my first real date in over 4 years. And honestly, it was incredible. Casey didn't scroll once. She laughed at my awful puns, asked real questions, made me feel like I wasn't just heard, but wanted. Around 9 p.m., I finally looked at my phone. 23 missed calls from Leia. Her Instagram story was now just a plain black screen with the message, "Going through a lot right now. Please respect my space." The irony was suffocating. When I got home, I saw her sitting on the steps outside my building, knees tucked in, makeup smudged, eyes swollen from crying. "You ignored me for 3 days," she whispered. I looked at her, calm but firm. "You flew off with your ex after I told you I wasn't okay with it." Her voice cracked. "I came back early, because you changed our relationship status." "No," I said. "You left because I set a boundary. You didn't respect it. That's not love." Then I handed her the printed copy of a 30-day notice. The lease was in my name. She knew what it meant. Her face paled. "You've been planning this." I shook my head. "No, you did." I stopped pretending everything was fine. That's the difference. The weeks that followed were brutal. She refused to move out. Cold sarcasm turned to seductive smiles, then to tearful breakdowns. She begged, cried, even had her mother call me, pleading for just one more chance. And then, karma arrived, wearing lip gloss and holding receipts. Her name was Emma. Turns out, Adrian had a girlfriend. 8 months strong. Emma messaged me out of the blue, and what she sent hit like a wrecking ball. Screenshots of flirty texts, explicit photos, hotel bookings, proof that the so-called networking retreat was a total sham. Adrian had reserved a luxury suite for 2. No pitch decks, no clients, just 2 exes rekindling what they shouldn't. Emma was furious and ready to blow the whole thing up. But I had a different idea. Let them destroy themselves. And they did. What neither of them knew was that Emma's father owned the tech startup Adrian had recently joined. She handed over the evidence, along with a report exposing that Adrian had been giving Leia's company insider pricing favors in exchange for personal services. He was suspended, then fired. Leia, she was out too. Breach of contract and ethical violations. In the blink of a scandal, they both went from smug to unemployed, sharing filtered photos on Instagram while crashing in Leia's sister's cramped apartment. Me, I got promoted at work. Started officially dating Casey, and for the first time in a long while, I could breathe. Last week, Leia messaged, "Can we talk?" Out of curiosity, or maybe closure, I agreed to meet at a Starbucks near my office. She looked nothing like the girl from my memories. Tired, smaller somehow, her voice cracked as she admitted everything. "I messed up. It was a mistake. I want to come back." I didn't sugarcoat it. "There's nothing left to come back to." She stared at me in disbelief. "After all these years, you're just walking away." I shook my head. "No, you did. Every time you lied. Every time you gaslit me for setting boundaries. I didn't walk away. I just finally stopped chasing you." She cried again. I left. And this time, I didn't turn around. As for me, Casey and I are still seeing each other. She jokes she should send Leia a thank you card. Last week, we went bowling. She's hilariously bad at it, but she laughs the whole time, and honestly, that laugh is the best sound I've heard in years. I've come to realize, not everyone needs revenge. Some people just need to sit in the rubble of their own decisions. Sometimes, setting your status to single isn't giving up. It's reclaiming yourself. Thank you for listening to my story. If it resonated with you or gave you something to think about, you're not alone. We all have boundaries. What matters is whether we have the strength to enforce them. A special thanks to everyone who's been part of this journey, those who listened, who shared, who reminded me that healing is not only possible but necessary. Your support means more than words can say. Disclaimer: this story is based on real events but may contain modified details to protect the privacy and identity of those involved. The views expressed are personal and not intended to generalize or assign blame to any group.